I'd like to speak today about two types of ishtadlus that need to be done in earning one's parnasa. And the first type is what we're very familiar with. I'll just give a little bit of explanation in it because we often forget. Hashem has created the world, as the Zohar says, of siva u'masovim, cause and effect. We do, and it happens. The reason Hashem created the world that way is because if it didn't work that way, we would not have free choice. We would think that you do something and it happens. We would think that Hashem does everything, and we would have no free choice. Hashem has created the world that we do and things happen, we do and things happen. In truth, it has absolutely nothing to do with what we're doing. But that's the way Hashem has created the world. So that's number one. And therefore, people have to get jobs, they have to get trained. We need doctors, we need lawyers, we even need Roshi Koilim. We need many, many different types of professions that people should get their job and do ishtadlus and thereby earn their money. That's very, very important. Rav Ramban and Rambam in his Sefer Hamasbik La'obed Hashem says that just like it's an avera to do too much ishtadlus, it's an avera to do too little ishtadlus. If we don't do the proper ishtadlus, we've done an avera. Because Hashem wants us to do ishtadlus. Each person, according to their own level of recognition, we cited that Rav Chanina ben Doza, who understood that just like shemen burns, oil burns, so vinegar burns, his ishtadlus was a little bit different. That's one level. That's really, really important. Sometimes people just are mezalzel in it. It's not appropriate at all. Mezalzel meaning that you don't give it the proper, attention and effort that it really deserves. Okay, that's one level. But there's a second level, which is equally and if not more important, and that is the shtadlis to bring the Shekhinah into our life. The pasuk says about Yosef Tzadik, everything he did, right? Everything he did was matzliach, and says Rashi, why? Shem Hashem shagar b'piv, because the name of Hashem was frequently in his mouth. Yosef Tzadik was constantly doing. He was a very active person. He actually designed the most successful economic food program in the world. He saved the entire world, and everything he did was successful, whether it was in Beis Potiphar, whether it was in the jail, whether it was becoming second in charge of Mitzrayim. Everything he did was successful because Shem Hashem Shagar Pi, because the name of God was frequent in his mouth. And the way it goes is like this, is that when we're doing an action of cause and effect, there's a big there's a big push to think, well, I'm actually doing something. And that pushes the Shekhinah away. Right? We spoke about that previously. Right? Is that when you feel you're doing something, is your doichif ragli Shekhinah. Push Shekhinah away. What Yosef was doing by Shem Hashem Shagar Piv was actually, while he was doing ishtadlus, he was thinking about Hashem, he was mentioning Hashem, he was davening, and Shem Hashem was in his mouth, and he was actually bringing Hashem closer. So these are two opposite actions, as it were. And I spoke to someone about it now, and it's very hard to do this. Yeah? It's hard that I should be doing something, at the same time I should be actively recognizing and expressing that it's only from Hashem. My friend, Svi Khan from Lawrence, he told me something from Rabbi Biderman, which I, Baruch Hashem, was mechaven to that. In Hallel, we say, Hamanti ki yadaber. How do you have it when you talk about it? The more you talk about it, the more you mention Shem Hashem, the more you talk about it, the more you think about it, and you have your mechadish, your innovations and thoughts in this area, the more it becomes part of you. And that will make it easier when you're doing ishtadlus to realize it's only from the Borei Olam. Nothing I'm doing is doing anything at all. I'm doing one thing of making sure to maintain free choice in the world. That's what I'm doing. But in truth, Hashem is doing everything. And the more deep that recognition is in your head and in your heart, the more Hashem will rest on your personality and your heart and your soul, your ruach, your nefesh, ruach, and neshama, and the more success you'll have. And this is Shem Hashem Shagar Piv, this is Hashras Shekhinah. This is becoming a merkava, becoming a vehicle for the resting place of the divine presence, and this will get you to the greatest levels of success. Like Yosef Tzadik, Kol Shetasa Tetzleh. Everything he did was successful. Everything. Because the more Shechina, the more everything just falls into place. Everything. People lose their free choice in the face of Shechina. Because when Hashem is resting in person, people understand that and people see that this is somebody that I must help. This is something that everything, just all the doors open up. All the doors of divine grace open up, and you're granted the greatest success. This is really our goal. And it's hard. It's hard to realize that the Shtadlis is only on a Heksher Mitzvah, or it's only to cover up Hashem's miraculous nature in the world. But it's even harder while you're doing the Shtadlis to realize that it's nothing and that Shem Hashem Shagul Hashem is doing everything. Instead of making the mistake of thinking that my actions are actually doing something, to think no, it's only Hashem. And it's actually that contrast and that friction, as it were, between those two things that makes the person great. The feeling that you could feel that you're doing something, but pushing that away and saying things. In Kelm, they used to say, Onishtalis is a zach glinger. Without ishtalis, it's much easier because you don't get into that test feeling that it's you and not Hashem. When you have to do ishtalis, that's very hard. And that's how you bring the Shekhinah into your life. That's one way, at least. Yeah, one powerful way that a person who's working all day long, but all day long he's bringing more and more Shekhinah into his life. He's becoming more of a Merkava with the Shekhinah. He's becoming more close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He finishes off his workday, he's closer to Hashem. And this is very, very powerful. Whoever can do this is a great person. He'll be very close to Hashem and will be very successful. We should all have this success. And again, Amunah means imunim. It's work, it's training. It will not happen without intense training. Just like if you want to be the Olympics, you have to work really, really hard and train a lot. If you want to be an Olympic Amunah person, it's not a good thing because the Olympics was based on Avodah Zarah. But if you want to really be a champion in Amunah, if you want everything you should do to be successful, then Shem Hashem Shagul repeat. While you're doing the Shtabus, while you're doing the work, so you're thinking about Hashem as much as possible. And when you can, to mention Hashem's name, it's daven, and you'll see incredible success in your life. Many gains of yourself.